Yo, sorry I'm late, man. Had a phone call right at the last minute. Breaking news. Of course, everybody already knows the news, but blockbuster trade in the NFL today. The Miami Dolphins and the Pittsburgh Steelers. Jalen Ramsey no longer on the board for the Las Vegas Raiders. I tried to tell y'all if the Raiders really wanted the man, he would have already been a Raider. I think the price tag was too high. And he gets a pay raise going to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They also get a Pro Bowl tight end in this situation. Huge trade. The Dolphins steal one of the best safeties in the NFL, man. So, who wins this trade? Let me know. Jonah Smith, solid tight end. But Fitzpatrick, man, one of the best safeties out there. Miami's defense doesn't miss a beat, I don't think, in this trade scenario. But let me know how y'all feel. Jack Yates, what's good? Hawaiian Candy, appreciate you. Also, to follow up on that, and we'll talk about it a little more, a lot of people in the nation wanted Jalen Ramsey to be a Raider. There was all kinds of rumors and talks that he wanted to be on the West Coast. Well, he's not on the West Coast. He's in Steeler country. And there was also a report. Let me find the exact words. All right. Well, shit. Raheem Mostert made a comment after his boys were signed and said, hot take, be a Pro Bowler for the Dolphins and get treated like shit. Happy for my guys, though. Go ball out. He must not be a Raider for long. What are you talking about? That's not just the Miami Dolphins organization, bro. Does he not see what happened with Josh Jacobs? Not only was he a Pro Bowler, but he led the league in rushing, bro, and did the same way. So somebody seems a little butthurt about what was going on in Miami with comments like that, and maybe Miami just does players do it dirty like that. There are a lot of teams in the NFL, that don't value players or take care of players. They're just, assets, right? So big words for our backup running back, Raheem Mostert, making a little splash, making a little noise. And like we talked about, he's not the only one making noise, right? A lot of hype, Gino going viral with his comments, going off on a 7-on-7 game, talking that shit. Was it carried away? I mean, I'll leave that for y'all to decide. Jonah was good. Appreciate you popping up in the building. Where'd my check go? 12-5. Let's go. That's what I'm saying. Keep putting it out there. Top 10 defensive line. Man, there's a lot of questions on this defensive line. I know we have ballers, but we have a lot of young players. Who makes the roster? We'll break that down sometime this week, maybe even tomorrow. Might get into that. But man, there's a lot of questions with Christian Wilkins. Who's going to take that spot? Are they going to move Adam Butler over? Is it going to be Jonah Lalu? Is it going to be a mix of Jonah Lalu and Tyree Wilson? Is Andre Carter going to make the team? I mean, there's a lot of questions marks. And if we don't have a top 10 defensive line, that's a huge problem for our defense, right? We have no lockdown corners that we know of, and they could be, right? Eric Stokes could be that guy. Jacorian Bennett could easily swoop over and take that job. It could be Darius Porter. We don't know, right? We don't know. So a lot of questions coming into this year that we thought we had solved, but with the Christian Wilkins injury, it leaves a lot of questions for me on this defense. I don't know about y'all, but a defense I had locked pretty much, 10 to 15 and possibly could even be better. Seems to, I don't know. Seems to be a little harder now. So those report came out I don't know who it was. I thought I have it saved in my phone, but I can't seem to find it right now. But the report was the top 5 duos in the NFL pass rushing, right? Raiders nowhere on that list. With Max Crosby and Malcolm Kuntz, or Adam Butler and Max Crosby, however you want to look at it, either one of those two guys, not on that list. So I thought that was very, very surprising. The Broncos defensive ends, who only have 7 years experience total between the two of them, made the top 5. That is scary for the AFC West. That is scary for the rest of the AFC and the NFL, for that matter. So, in Pete we trust. Yes, we do. Tonka truck, right? Dude, I think we're going to dominate. It's a magic year this year, bro. I feel that too. I mean, everybody feels it, right? It's a different feeling. It's a different culture. We have discipline. We have a coach that's going to hold guys accountable. We have the highest paid offensive coordinator in the NFL who has learned, from his previous embark in the NFL, being a head coach. His time with the 49ers, short-lived. I think Chip Kelly's learned a lot, and I think his offense if you look at Oregon to Ohio State, it's a much, much different offense, right? It's an offense that with Philadelphia, he was pretty much the innovator of that hurry up offense, right? Don't give teams a chance to sub guys in, keep them on their toes, right? Keep the guys that are breathing heavy on the field, run that hurry up, quick tempo offense. But in Philly, it didn't work very good, right? They tried to run an up-tempo offense, but their time of possession in Philly when he was there was bottom of the league in the NFL. If you look at the difference between Oregon and Ohio State, it's a big, big difference. So I think Chip Kelly has learned a lot over his years, and I think he's going to bring, a little bit of a college flavor that the NFL hasn't seen in a long, long time, right? I think he's going to be the innovator in the mix like he was when he came in, and took over the head coaching job in Philly. He brought his own offense, right? The own up-tempo. Like I said, he's pretty much, kind of the innovator of that fast-paced up-tempo offense that a lot of teams adapted and kind of refined to make it a little better. And I see Chip Kelly doing the same thing, man. He has a lot of weapons to work with. He has a guy that can run his offense in Geno Smith, that can roll out, that can run RPOs, that can run read options, that can do a lot of shit. So with Chip Kelly, he's going to surprise a lot of people. And then you throw in the fact that he might have the best running back he's ever played with or ever coached in Ashton Jeanty. He's going to turn heads. He's going to turn heads. And I think we're going to have an offense that nobody in the NFL is ready for. I think a lot of teams don't know what to expect. We don't know what to expect. But I know from what I watched in him, from what I've studied, from what I've tried to, pick up his tendencies, what he did before, what he's done in the past, and what he did at Ohio State. He changed a lot of things, right? He changed a lot of things. He still ran an up-tempo offense, but he kept his offense on the field more, right? It wasn't a lot of big plays. It was a lot of shorter plays. Give your defense time to rest, recover, so they're not, on the field in a 3-and-out or a first down and then a 3-and-out. You got to give your defense time to recover, and I think he did that at Ohio State, and that's why they won the championship. They had the best offense, in college football. 2,000-yard receivers, 2,000-yard rushing backs, and I think he's going to bring that flavor to the NFL. He's gonna run reverses and trick plays, I believe, that nobody's seen before in the NFL, right? People are going to be like, what the hell is that? And then when you have Big Mike Mayer on the offensive line, running and hitting open guys on reverse and screens, it's going to be nasty. It's going to be nasty. Wilkins is not going to play this year. He's in a boot still. I know. But, we don't know everything, right? They haven't been telling us shit. So I still see a scenario where, he could come in at the end of the season if we're in that playoff hunt and need a guy to come in and help us out. Possibly, right? The recovery time is only supposed to be 3 to 4 months. So if it's 3 months, that's 12 weeks, right? If he gets the surgery now, 2 months before the season starts, I mean, damn, you could be ready to go by half the year. But the way the first injury went and the healing process went, man, I don't know about that. Dante Thornton is going to dominate this year. He's going to be super big, deep balls. We might have to pause on that. But yeah, I hope so, man. I hope so. My guy, Chronicles of the Black Hole. Welcome. I've been doing this for 50 years. We are going to beat the Eagles and lose to the Titans because we Raiders. I've been a fan for 50 years too, my guy. And I don't see that this year. I don't see that. I see us winning the games that we're supposed to win. And the Titans, is a game I believe we're supposed to win, along with a whole lot of other games. The Giants, yes, they got a new quarterback, but they still have a lot of problems, right? They still have to put a lot of things together. So I don't really hope you're right. I hope we beat the Eagles, but I hope we don't do the same, Raider shit we've done in the past. And you don't see that from Pete Carroll teams, right? You don't see that from Pete Carroll teams, whether it's college football, whether it's the NFL. You don't see that from Pete Carroll coach teams. They win the games they're supposed to win. If they're favored in games, they win those games, right? More times than not. It's the games they're not favored in. They have troubles winning in Seattle, the big games. But his teams are very disciplined. They know what they're supposed to do. They know what Pete Carroll wants. And if they don't, they're not going to be out there. So mistakes, I believe, are going to be at a minimum. I don't think there's going to be a lot of, dumb plays, stupid offsides, giving teams first downs like we have in the past. I think 2 years ago with AP, we had two entire games with 0 penalties. So we have the team that has the discipline, right? Most of those guys are still on the offense. So we have the team with the discipline. And I think Pete Carroll brings that. He brings accountability. He brings discipline. He's going to hold guys accountable for their mistakes. And if they keep up, you're going to be replaced. So I hope, and I feel like it's a new day. It's a new era. Titans, look out, right? Look out the teams that we're supposed to beat. I feel we can dominate some of those games. Yeah, he should have had the surgery. Well, there was a report by Vinny B. Bonsignor saying that he feels like Christian Wilkins may have already had the surgery and the Raiders just aren't talking about it. So if that's the case, man, that's a huge plus for us. But if he hasn't yet and they know he has to, come on, man. Come on. I've been one since 1976. Just running the table this year. I see us running the table this year. If you look at our schedule, there's a very big possibility. Some of our toughest games are in the division. If you take away the Eagles, depending on where the Cowgirls are going to be. Other than that, I don't see a lot of teams that we can't beat looking at the schedule. I see a lot of teams like Chronicles of the Black Hole said. We could, overlook some of these teams like the Titans or not perform to our ability, right? Like we have in the past. I hope to God that's not the case. We've been doing this forever. See, 1983, 82, right? Robert Pena was good, my guy. We win against the teams we have no business beating and lose against teams we shouldn't look at least last year. Beat the Ravens and lost to the Carolina Panthers. I mean, I get that. It's the NFL. But if we go back to that Ravens game, right, and we're being 100% transparent, I don't think we won that. I mean, yes, the scorecard says we won that game, right? We got a W. But if you really go back and watch that game, the Ravens fell apart. They had a turnover in key moments. They made mistake after mistake after mistake and let us back in the game. So that was, one of those games, you're right, that we probably shouldn't have won. But I think if the team, I don't know. I think that team that we looked horrible in the first half of that game, right? The second half, I think they just left the door open for us, and our defense played lights out in that game. But then, like we turn around and get stomped by the Carolina Panthers. But that was, the year we had, right? Injuries, a horrible offensive line, no running game. This year is different. If we don't have a running game, I mean, right? There's going to be a lot of upset people, and there's a huge problem. Yeah, hit that subscribe, the like button, share the live, get some people in here. I appreciate it. But so, man, let's get into this. Rookie of the Year talk, right? Where the hell did it go? Why does everything disappear? Did I seriously lose the whole thing? Hold up. You gotta be shitting me. What the fuck? All right. Well, anyways, Rookie of the Year, rookie talk. There's a lot of people that believe Ashton Jeanty, the Silver Surfer, AJ, whatever you want to call him, could possibly be a lock for the Rookie of the Year title. Now, if that's the case, that means we have a solid offensive line, right? And if we have a solid offensive line, that means Geno Smith plays his best football. Because if you go back and look at the numbers, and we've broke them down before, Rick Rock, what's good? I broke down the numbers plenty of times before on this channel. But if you go back and look at the numbers, when Geno Smith has time to throw the football, he's not only top 10, he's top 5 in the NFL. Top 5. And maybe possibly even top 3. I mean, depending on how you look at it. Now, if you look at the interceptions in there, then I don't know. But most of those turnovers and interceptions and fumbles were when he was under pressure. So you have two different Geno Smiths, right? You have the Geno Smith that could be a top 5 quarterback if the offensive line can protect him and keep pressure off of him, which that's a big ask in the NFL. It's hard to keep pressure off a quarterback. Defensive lines, especially the defensive lines we played this year, even in our division, are nasty, right? Nasty. We play one of the best with the Eagles. So keeping pressure off of Geno is going to be hard. But if our running game is clicking, if we have the threat of the deep threat and Dante Thornton, if we have Michael Mayer, we're where they have to double him because he's lights out again like he was last year, and they protect Geno, this team could be a lot better than even, a lot of people are projecting, right? Even better than I'm thinking. Well, I don't know, better than 12-5. But Geno Smith under pressure is bad. It's bad. So I know exactly why Pete Carroll said Geno Smith is an elite quarterback or can be an elite quarterback. You take the pressure off of him. Because if you take the pressure off of him and he has time to let guys get open and doesn't have to throw guys open or throw the ball in under, 2.5 seconds like he's had to do in the last couple years, Geno Smith is deadly, absolutely deadly. And with the weapons we have, that don't bode well for the AFC West, who everybody says our division is lights out and we can't compete in. I promise you, if this O-line keeps Geno up, and keeps the pressure off of him, you're going to see the best Raiders offense we've had probably since Rich Gannon, Jerry Rice, Tim Brown. Yeah, I said it. But that's a big if. The hell happened to the rookie thing I had? I don't know how it just disappeared. That's some bullshit. We could go 12-5 if we play our best, but there's a big but, right? And as my stepdad used to say, anything after but is bullshit. So just take that as however. And I get it if we play our best. Damn it. Which means you have to keep Geno, protected. You have to give him time to throw the ball. We have to have a running game. I mean, we know what it takes to play our best. 12 personnel, get Michael Mayer hot, Brock Bowers hot. We already know what Jacoby Myers can do. But now this year, our biggest thing is the defense. Can our defense stop guys from scoring? That is the question, right? Giving up 24 points a game is not going to cut it in the NFL. Hell, giving up 20 points a game doesn't cut it in the NFL anymore. Our defense has to be lights out. And we play some pretty damn good offenses with damn good running games. And I know everybody's going to say our run defense is the worst. And one of our biggest problems on the team? No, it wasn't. Last year, our run defense was actually 10th in the NFL. That's right. You heard me correctly. 10th in the NFL. Without Max Crosby, without Christian Wilkins, without Malcolm Kuntz, without Marcus Epps. Like all those guys, most of the season. Well, a lot of them. That's without our main stars. We were 10th. Now, if they can continue that with the upgrades we've made, because we've lost some guys. Robert Spillane was a huge part of that run defense, right? Tackles for loss, tackles in the backfield, over 100 tackles. Trayvon Moehrig was a bigger part of that. He played a lot in the box. He made a lot of tackles at the line of scrimmage, behind the line of scrimmage. He was huge for us. That's going to be hard to replace. Very, very hard to replace. Then you lose a guy like Jack Jones, which, I talked a lot of shit about Jack. His numbers weren't great. 123, 103 yards per game against is it's bad. Our percentage against was bad, right? But our defensive line wasn't good. And if you don't have a defensive line, no matter how good your secondary is, they're going to struggle, right? They're going to struggle. If they're covering for 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 15 seconds, you're going to struggle no matter who it is. The Denver Broncos with Patrick Surtain, it doesn't matter, right? The Steelers with Jalen Ramsey now, doesn't matter who you have in that backfield. If your defensive front or your front seven, for that matter, can't do their job, guys are going to get open. Quarterbacks are going to pick teams apart, right? 12-5, let's go. So, with that being said, man, is it on this fucking one? No, it's not. All right, how did the whole sheet just disappear? Jesus. I lost the whole damn show. I don't know how I did that, bro. Well, hell. Son of a bitch. It just deleted itself, I guess. So yeah, man, let's get into the topic. Jack Jones help our teams to win. Last victory in Arrowhead. He did, right? He was one of those guys that, played with instinct, that got to play free. But that's when we had a solid defensive line, right? We were healthy then. The defensive line was pretty solid. They had chemistry, right? They were getting to the quarterback. Malcolm Kuntz was healthy, right? There was a little bit of a difference. Without that front four, our front seven, if you're playing 4-3, it makes a difference. It makes a difference. And yeah, he's going to be hard to replace, but I think we got a guy that's a star in the making in Darius Porter. You don't hear nothing bad about this kid. Everything is positive. And of course, it's the offseason. That's what you're going to hear about every rookie, right? Nobody's going to say, oh, this rookie is just, doing nothing or can't grasp the plays, right? Playing horrible. You're not going to put rookies on blast like that in the offseason. So every rookie's going to be doing decent right now, unless they're obviously just totally struggling. Then you can't cover that up. But Darius Porter is going to be solid. What are we going to get from guys like Lonnie Johnson that we brought in? What are we going to get from Eric Stokes? Where's Ja'Cory Bennett going to be? DeCam Richardson, DeCamarion Richardson. Does Sam Webb make the team? Like, we got a lot of guys that were on this team that helped. Not on the stat sheet so much because they didn't get, a lot of reps last year. But are they going to get a chance to, to develop with this team? I don't know. We'll have to see when the pads come on. But rookie-wise, man, there's a lot of talk, right? You've seen the title. Omarion Hampton, Quinshon Judkins, Travion Henderson, Ashton Jeanty, just to name the running backs, right? Don't forget Cam Scatterboo, Harvey, all these other cats that were drafted. What are the chances of us having another first-round running back, right? Because last time we drafted a running back in the first round, I do believe Josh Jacobs, wasn't he Rookie of the Year? So, if history repeats itself, and it seems to repeat itself in everything we do, right? Whether it's football, whether it's our daily routine, whether it's history itself, right? It constantly repeats itself. So if it does repeat itself, what is the chances of Ashton Jeanty, the Silver Surfer, actually getting Rookie of the Year? And what does he have to do to get it? Does he have to carry the ball 25 times a game? Does he have to carry the ball 30 times a game? Does he have to be the main guy? You know, we heard all about running back by committee, but I gave you my take on that. These other guys are just going to be, you know, breathers. If we're having long drives, you can't just keep the same running back in, 15 plays in a row if you're driving down the field. You got to bring these guys in to sub out and get a breather. But then you got guys in the quarterback realm, right, that usually win the MVP. We see what Jaden Daniels did last year, killed it in the NFL, blew all rookie numbers away, kind of like Brock Bowers did. It's usually more than likely, and it, once in a while here and there, but more than likely it's a quarterback award, right? The quarterback has the ball in his hands most of the time. He touches the ball more than a running back, more than a receiver, more than, I guess, offensive linemen are out there blocking constantly. But very rarely do you see guys, tackles win the Rookie of the Year. But it's happened. So with that being said, it's not a killer quarterback class, right? You have Shedeur Sanders, who many people thought was going to be number one, or at least number two, picked in the first round, at least in the second round. There's no way he's going to the third round. It's not even possible he falls to the fourth, ends up getting picked in the fifth, right? Is he going to be able to do enough being fourth string or even third string, which more than likely he's fourth string, to get in and play? Probably not. If something happens and he starts the season, he could be one of those candidates. Cam Ward on a not a very good Tennessee team, right? They have a lot of questions there. They have a new general manager, head coach, offensive coordinators, right? They have a lot of things going on. They have Will Levis, who they drafted, first pick in the second round, sitting on the bench. They have a lot of questions over there. Who's going to be their running back? They got rid of Travis Henry. The Titans have a lot of issues they need to fix, and I don't know if Cam Ward can come in and be that guy to fix those issues like Jaden Daniels did with the Washington Commanders. Let me know in the comments below. But I feel like, Cam Ward could possibly have a good, rookie year. Is it going to be Jaden Daniels style? I don't think so. There's no Brock Bowers in this class, which if it wasn't for the year Jaden Daniels had, Brock Bowers easily should have been Rookie of the Year. The amount of votes he got was just blatant disrespect. The guy shattered all tight end records. Mike Ditka's record that has stood for I don't even know how many years. When you do that and don't even get, enough votes to be recognized in the Rookie of the Year, that's horrible. So last year we had a good draft. Brock Bowers was in the running, and like I said, Jaden Daniels was just lights out and epic, and you can't control that. But this year, you got a couple receivers, right? Emeka Egbuka maybe. It's not a very deep offensive class, right? When you look at it. Now there could be sleepers like Omarion Hampton, who's on the Chargers team. And I know this is horrible because I lost all my notes and I don't even know what the hell I'm talking about. But yeah, so, Omarion Hampton, you got a guy like Najee Harris he's going to have to split the reps with, but can he come out right away in camp and, show that he could be that number one back and get most of the reps? I don't see that happening. I know Jim Harbaugh. We all know Jim Harbaugh is going to run the shit out of the ball like a Pete Carroll's offense. He's probably one of those top contenders, depending on how many carries he gets. And I'm sure if he's, pulling off 4, 5, 6 yards a rip, he's going to get most of the carries. And they don't care what they paid Najee Harris. But both of those guys are going to get a lot of touches because Harbaugh's going to run the hell out of the ball. And we know Ashton Jeanty is going to get a lot of touches. I've heard people say, 245, 255. I heard a ridiculous number from a very, very respectable person in this business that they said he could possibly get over 300 touches. Now, if that's the case, I don't see anybody being close to him in Rookie of the Year contentions because nobody, and I mean nobody, but a quarterback is going to touch the ball that many times. And if he does get the ball that many times, that means the kid is absolutely killing it. For them to, put that amount of weight on his shoulders his rookie year and give him that many touches, I mean, 300 touches would be, I don't even know how many off the top of my head, but what's 20 times 17? Dude, that's a lot of touches a game. My 2 cents, what's good? Appreciate you pulling up. So, there's a lot of talk about the way Pete Carroll runs his offense. We know it's smash mouth. We know it's, run the football. When you got a guy that can break tackles behind the line of scrimmage, past the line of scrimmage, score on one touch, he's going to get a lot of carries. And the better he does, the better this offensive line does, which it all comes down to the offensive line. Because without an offensive line, Ashton Jeanty's nothing, right? No running back is. So how good is this offensive line going to be? Can they be good enough, for this guy to just come in right off the rip and be a top 5 running back? I've read 4 reports today that were reported in the last 2 weeks. All say Ashton Jeanty has a very, very good chance, like an 85% chance of being the top 5 running back in the NFL his first year because Chip Kelly is his offensive coordinator. Now, let me know what y'all feel about that. Do you feel that right off the rip, the Silver Surfer is going to come in and be a top 5 running back in the NFL his rookie year? Let me know. 1 for yes, 2 for no. Join in the conversation. But when you look at guys like Travis Hunter, right? Picked obviously before Ashton Jeanty. He's got Brian Thomas Jr. on the other side. Raider Ryan, what's good? BTJ is going to be that guy. That was my number 1 receiver last year. Him and Malik Neighbors. A lot of talk about Marvin Harrison Jr. To me, it was Brian Thomas Jr. I thought he was better than Malik Neighbors. Okay, not better, but, on the same tier right there. I think those dudes are neck and neck. But Brian Thomas Jr. just has that breakaway speed that it's just sneaky, right? So when you got a guy like that over there and Travis Hunter, does he play more on the offense, on the defense? He's been playing, in camp, which wasn't a lot of reps on the offense, but he did get some on the defense. So I don't know if he's going to be in the running for Rookie of the Year if he's playing both sides of the ball. That might take him out of contention because number-wise. But it also might up the contention like it did for, for the Heisman Trophy because he plays both sides of the ball. But other than that, give me some names. Who are some names that you think, other than Ashton Jeanty, is a threat for Rookie of the Year? And I know it's way too early, right? But what else do we have to talk about? It's the offseason. And since I've seen so many people throwing Ashton Jeanty saying that this kid's going to be, our young man is going to be a top 5 running back in his first year under Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll, which I could very well see that. Jahmyr Gibbs came in, killed it his first year. Saquon Barkley obviously was Rookie of the Year. None of those guys had the year Ashton Jeanty had, right? So this man could very, very well be in the running for Rookie of the Year. And I think his chances are very, very high right off the rip. But Also, what else do I can talk about? Where'd it go? Where did it go? All right, so the Atlanta Falcons are wanting a third round pick for Kyle Pitts. Now, with the Miami Dolphins just getting rid of their Pro Bowl tight end, do you see them giving up a third round? Now, the reports are they've offered a fifth round, but Miami is stuck on a third round. The reason I'm saying this is because if they're only willing to give up a fifth round and they can't get Kyle Pitts, do you think the Raiders possibly give up Michael Mayer for a fifth round pick if they come calling? Let me know in the comments below. Me, I say no, right? We've heard all the talk about Michael Mayer all year long, being in all kinds of trade conversations. I think y'all are sleeping on how much Chip Kelly values Michael Mayer, his ability to block, his ability to play fullback, his ability to catch the ball out of the backfield, his ability to catch the ball from the tight end position. His route running is solid for a 265-pound man. He's physical as hell. His yards after the catch. And he's going to open holes, a lot of holes, positive necessary for our running back. So, I hope to God, if they do come calling for Michael Mayer, that the Raiders don't, even pick up the phone, right? Don't even pick up the phone, because I think Big Mike is going to have, I don't know if you could call it a breakout year, but if you look at the season he had last year and his rookie year, which was pretty decent under Aiden O'Connell throwing him the football, he had some big plays, right? He has some breakout plays. A game-winning touchdown against the Jets, went up and got the ball. But then things kind of fell apart when we drafted Brock Bowers. But I think now he's in a different mindset. It seems like he's got his head together. Seems like he's in a different place. And from what, from the conversations that he's had and the interviews, it seems like he's very, very bought in on Chip Kelly, on Pete Carroll. And I think Chip Kelly speaks very, very highly of Michael Mayer. So I don't know why all these rumors are constantly flying around Michael Mayer talk. If they do trade him, to me, it's just an absolute mistake. You don't draft a guy in the second round and then give up on him in his third year when he had problems in his second year and missed a lot of games. Now, we don't know what those problems were, but really it's none of our business, right? So as long as he's back and he's in the right space in his head and he's ready to play football, Michael Mayer is going to be huge for us. Like, I can't even express how much he means to this team in 12 personnel. And we talked about it last year before the start of the season, under Luke Getsy. I got to spit every time I say that name. Just leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But under Luke Getsy, man, we talked about it. Everybody was talking about it at the start of the season. They're going to be a 12 personnel, team. It's going to be 12 personnel is going to be pretty much their base offense, right? We didn't even run 12 personnel that much. We ran, I think, 13 personnel, more than we ran 12 personnel last year. Now, there was a lot of reasons for that, but this year I feel it's different. I feel with Chip Kelly, like I said, he's going to be an innovator in the offense. He's going to bring new things to the NFL that people haven't seen before, right? He's going to merge what he did with college, kind of some of those trick plays, right? Screens to get guys open. You're going to see a bunch of tricky end arounds and reverses that, with guys like Michael Mayer, like I said, leading the way. And this dude is going to be a big, big part of this team. Now, let me know in the comments, what's a breakout year for Michael Mayer? At 500 yards, 600 yards, is that even askable when you have guys like Brock Bowers, Jacoby Myers, Dante Thornton, Trey Tucker. I don't have to keep saying these guys' names. I feel like I do every day at least 50 times. But I'm trying to get them known, right? Right? Get them out there. So where do you feel Big Mike is, having a breakout year? Because I think last year he had, not last year, but his rookie year, 300 yards, close to 400 yards. So I feel if he's around the 500, 500 yard mark, 400 yard mark, I'm fine with that being the backup, the backup tight end. He's not going to ever be the number one target, right? He's not going to be your primary receiver in anything. He might get carries out of the backfield. I think that would be a huge spot and a good place to put him a little bit. But on the line, the small things he does, right? Blocking, opening up holes, clearing space, getting to the next level in the run game a lot faster than some of these linemen can do, right? Is huge for us. And I think those numbers don't show up, right, on the stat sheets. But they should. They should, right? They've been talking about it in the NFL, having some kind of stats for offensive linemen, so they get more recognized, they get more recognition for all they do, right? Run stats, blocking stats, pancake blocks. And let me know what y'all think about that. How do y'all feel about that? Do you think the NFL should go to some kind of stat system, for the linemen? Because you have stats for everybody else, right? Every other position has stats. I think the offensive linemen should be included in that. Let me know how y'all feel. How y'all feel about that? I hate not having a pen. And then the next topic is TJ flipping Watt. No, I'm not going to sit up here and tell you he has a chance to be a Raider. I'm not even going to talk no bullshit like, I ain't going to say it, but I'm not going to do that, right? I'm not going to throw no crazy rumors, no wild, landish trade shit, right? We don't do that on this channel. But there is a possibility he could get traded somewhere. Very big possibility, right? He's not showed up in minicamp. He wants more money. He's due $21 million, which is $12 million less than Max Crosby, which the man in 3 years has had more sacks than Max Crosby has had in his whole entire career. I believe, and I'm sure y'all believe the same way, TJ Watt deserves to get paid, right? But then the Steelers go out and they get Jalen Ramsey and they give him a pay grade. They bump up his salary. They give him a couple extra M's. They bring in a tight end. That's a Pro Bowl tight end, a 2-time Pro Bowl tight end that they're going to have to pay a little bit of money to also. Where does that leave TJ Watt? Where does that leave the negotiations? I'm sure he's not happy about the situation. When you got a guy that wants money and you're bringing in other guys that you probably could have brought in, since you traded for him, renegotiated his contract, looking at his numbers last year and probably got a better deal, but instead they bring him in and they give him more money. So where does that leave TJ Watt with the Steelers? Now, we know TJ Watt wants to be a Steeler. He doesn't want to go anywhere. He's talked about it before, but we've heard that shit from numerous players in the NFL. And if teams disrespect you, bro, it's all about the money. Unleashed Raider, what's good? Appreciate you dropping in. So what are your chances? Let me know in the chat, 1 through 10. I know because y'all participate so much, but if anybody wants to, 1 through 10, 10 being the highest, what do you think TJ Watt's chances are not being a Steeler going into the season? To me, I say it's a 1. You can't let a guy go like that. He's obviously not even close. The best tight end. Best defensive edge rusher in the NFL right now. He had 22 and a half sacks 2 years ago. The man had a down season. And yes, a down season, 11 and a half sacks. But he also had 6 forced fumbles, 2 recoveries, 19 pressures, or 51 pressures, 26 quarterback hits. Like, come on, man. This dude is a machine out there. And the Steelers would be absolutely stupid to not give this guy whatever he wants. A 4? Okay, so there's a possibility. So you're saying there's a chance. A 6. Okay. You was guessing? Well, 6 is pretty high. So, I mean, and if there's a chance of TJ Watt being traded, bro, you know what that bidding war is going to be like? Now, I don't think the Raiders would even be in it because they just paid Malcolm Kuntz. They just paid Max Crosby an extension. You're not giving TJ Watt, 33 mil. That's all our salary cap, which that doesn't matter. They can pay him a lot guaranteed, spread it out for the next 3 or 4 years. But there's a lot of teams like the Bills, the Bengals, teams that are this far away from competing for a chip that would give this man ridiculous amounts of money. And I think he'd be the highest paid player, even, over quarterbacks, right? We know Max Crosby for a little bit was the highest non-paid quarterback in the NFL for a minute. Then it went to Myles Garrett. And I feel like it's going to be TJ Watt very, very soon, man. So with that being said, do you feel TJ Watt will be a Steeler, or could he possibly get traded to somebody else? And if he does, man, I hope it's in the NFC because we don't need to play this man anymore. He's just a problem for everybody. But, yo, I'm going to get off here. I love y'all. Appreciate y'all. I don't know, 3 more people just popped in, but the whole show got blitzed because I lost everything I was going to talk about. So I'll make a video on it. Go back and watch it. I was going to break down everybody's chances, of Rookie of the Year. But I can't remember them all because I'm old. So that sucks ass. But yeah, man, if anybody has any more questions, anything they want to talk about, let me know. Max and Vaughn sounds pretty interesting. I don't know, man. I don't know. Von Miller, the player, yes, on the field. But off the field, I don't want to get into the man's personal life, but it's been blasted all over the NFL. And as a young kid that grew up and, seen people put his hands on mom, I ain't down for that shit. So I know the dude wasn't convicted, but I know his girlfriend was treated for a lot of injuries. So, I don't know, man. I don't think the Raiders go that route. I think Spytek, Pete Carroll, kind of why they passed on, guys like Jalen Ramsey, guys like Jair Alexander. Not that their problems are troublemakers. It's just because, injury questionable, off the field, not getting along in certain situations. And, that's all hearsay. Jason Ruiz was good. Unleashed Raiders, shot, smiling face, and sunglasses. I got no smiley face or sunglasses, though. The hell? It just says smiley face with sunglasses. We could always bring Chandler Jones back. I mean, yeah. He might play better on bath salt. I don't know. I don't know what that dude was on, bro. That dude lost his mind. He was on that Flocka or some shit. I don't know. But shout out to Chandler Jones, man. I hope he's doing good. You know, once a Raider, always a Raider. It's horrible how shit ends up. But we don't need no situations like that, right? And Von Miller, as a player, would be great. But if you look at what he did with the Buffalo Bills since he's got there, I mean, that was a team that was in need of veteran leadership of a guy like Von Miller. And he really didn't help the team much, right? Their defense was a little improved, but not much. A lot of people say Von's lost a step. For the right price, you know, if he didn't have all the off the field issues and all that shit, yeah, but I just don't see the Raiders bringing in guys like that. Robert Penn, what it do, my guy? Appreciate you pulling in. Right. Oh shit, yeah, I seen some stuff on that dude on IG. Yeah, man. So, you know, shit like that we don't need. I know he's, you know, friends with Max Crosby. You know, him and Max are boys. They would be nasty together. I think he would definitely, you know, could possibly help this team. But I just don't think it's, you know, something we're willing to do. Like Rick James said, cocaine is a hell of a drug. Bro, if that was cocaine, he got some bad shit. Like that are did way too much of it, bro, because I ain't never had no coke that did no shit like that. I promise you. I guarantee you. That man was lost his mind, bro. He wrote songs to Belichick. Come on. He wrote songs about Tom Brady. Come on, stop playing. Sorry, Belichick. It wasn't you that inflated the football. Fuck it. Oh, that's bad, man. Why are we talking about Chandler Jones like that? So much disrespect from my guy Chandler Jones. But just how the Raiders do, you know, my guy Chronicles was in here talking about it earlier. The Raiders Raider. And it seems to happen when we go draft free agents and we pay them a lot of money. You know, Christian Wilkins, a prime example. That clown why do I always forget that stupid probably because I can't stand this shit. But the Patriots tackle that we brought in, Brown, whatever the hell his name is, way too much money. The list goes on and on. I'm gonna stop thinking of guys we brought in that didn't do nothing, that were highly overpaid, bro. It just gets my blood pressure boiling, and I can't take that shit. But I think we shown in this offseason, and everybody should give Spytech the most highest respect. And Mark Davis, right? I'm sick of people talking shit about Mark Davis. Mark Davis has done a hell of a job by bringing in the guys that he brought in. He's not, you know, completely out of the picture. He's still in the picture. But this man has done a hell of a job this year with Spytech, with Pete Carroll, you know, bringing Brady and the rest of the minority owners. This team is definitely on a turnaround. And I think these dudes deserve a big shout out just for the offseason. We ain't even played football yet, but the way they went about it, right? Like I said, we got 3 linebackers for the price of Robert Spillane. If you can't replace Robert Spillane with 3 linebackers, 2 of them possibly Pro Bowl caliber linebackers, one's already made a Pro Bowl, been to a Super Bowl. If you can't replace one guy with 3 guys, there's a problem, right? So I feel like Spillane's, you know, Spillane's spot is covered. Those 3 guys are going to cover it. Not in the same position, right? One's going to play outside. One's going to play the mic. But I think they have it covered. When we go to the safety spot, That's a question, man. That's a question. But I believe if we keep 5, I think we have it covered. If we only keep 4, man, I'm still a little nervous about that. I'm a little nervous. I like Jeremy Chin, but I think he's going to play in the box, an awful lot. We all like playing in the box. Let me get a 1 in the chat if you like playing in the box. Which leaves us to who's going to be that free safety, right? Which Pal Mal's going to be that guy. But we all seen he's better playing in the box, right? He's better up close. Didn't do great in coverage last year. Can improve. Everybody can improve. Hopefully he does this year. Then you got guys like Lonnie Johnson, who showed out a little bit in camp, had a couple interceptions, making a little bit of noise. A guy that we know is going to make this roster just for special teams. How long is it until he takes over one of those safety spots, or even a corner spot, right? That nickel spot, if he's healthy. I mean, Lonnie Johnson is a damn good football player when healthy, right? Come guys, ask Rebel how to throw numbers in the chat. At least have what? What else we got? My guy Lawrence, what it do? What it do? He said Rick James, right? I hope we get a great team to get to the Super Bowl this year. Come on now, let's not overdo it. Bueno, what it do? What it do? I see you. Are you just now popping in? Have you been trying to be seen before? What's good, my guy? Welcome, my brother. Appreciate you pulling up. Why is this thing doing this? There. Yep, we can see you. But yeah, man. So a lot of questions to be answered. But I think we have some sleepers, man. We have some sleeper guys. And our defense being the biggest question. We passed again on a guy like Jalen Ramsey. We passed on Jair Alexander. Does this coaching staff know something behind the scenes that us fans and content creators do not know? Right? I mean, there's a lot of players out there, big name players, not so big name players, guys that could play the slot, which we don't know who's playing the slot. We've been trying everybody on the team at the slot position. Are the Raiders playing head games with the NFL? Are they being sneaky, right? I feel they are. I feel like they know who the corners are. They know what we have, and they're going to run with what we got. And I feel they're comfortable with it, because if they weren't comfortable with what we have, they would have pulled the trigger on some of these guys. There's a lot of safeties out there still, like Simmons. There's a lot of corners still out there that we could go get. And they're not, right? So to me, that kind of lifts my spirits, right? If this coaching staff, Pete Carroll, who's a defensive back coach, that's what he does. That's what he knows. That's what he's built his career on. If they're happy and comfortable with the corners we have, I think we're all in for a big surprise, right? I think we're all in for a big surprise. A lot of people say our offense is going to be better than our defense. And that should be the case with the weapons we have and the guys we brought in. Our offense should be a lot better than our defense. But I wouldn't be so sure about that. So I love y'all. Peace out. Much love. See y'all tomorrow. Raiders. Tell your mom to tell your mom to tell somebody else's mom. Come watch the Raiders Unleashed show. What's